Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. I am Yasir Hussain from Pakistan Studies Department, Army Public School and College, Ordnance Road. It's lecture number 1 from chapter number 4. Chapter number 4 is about the steps towards Islamic Republic of Pakistan. In other words, it is regarding the constitutional development in Pakistan. And the topic today we are going to discuss is about the Objectives Resolution 1949. It is of pivotal importance, especially in the constitutional development history of Pakistan. The objectives of our today's lecture are: number 1, identify the constitutional state of Pakistan at the time of independence. Number 2, highlight the salient features and the importance of the Objectives Resolution in the process of the constitutional development. Dear students, now first of all we will discuss about the state of the constitutional development soon after the independence of Pakistan or the partition. Remember that before discussing that what was the state of constitutional development at that time, first of all we should understand what constitution is. Constitution is actually the fundamental law of any state, and it is said that no state can be run for even a single day without constitution. So it's of a very pivotal importance. In other words, you can say that without constitution you cannot run a country. Now therefore when Pakistan was created on 14th August 1947, it didn't have its own constitution at that time. Therefore, the Government of India Act of 1935 was adopted as the interim constitution of the newly established state of Pakistan, definitely with certain necessary amendments required at that time. It was a temporary arrangement, and Pakistan's own permanent constitution was required urgently. The first Constituent Assembly elected XII as president and started its work for constitution making on 11th of August 1947. Remember, this is the date when the first Constituent Assembly meet in Karachi, and the first task of this Constituent Assembly was that of the formation of the constitution, because it was the need of the day. Without constitution you cannot run Pakistan. Then the people entrusted the constitution making task to the Muslim League, and they to form according to the principles of Islam, that is according to the teachings of Quran and Sunnah. Unfortunately, a very strong secular group was also present in the assembly who wanted a secular system instead of Islamic principles in Pakistan. XII, on the other hand, repeatedly made it clear that the future constitution of Pakistan shall be framed on the basis of the Islamic principles. Now, the eminent ulama motivated the public opinion in favor of an Islamic constitution. As a result of this movement or campaign, a massive popular movement started for the formation of the Islamic constitution. Therefore, under these circumstances, the Constituent Assembly of Pakistan adopted the Objectives Resolution in March 1949. Dear students, now coming to the introduction of the Objectives Resolution. This resolution was the first constitutional document that proved to be the foundation of the constitutional development in Pakistan. It provided the parameters and the basic principles to the legislators that how they going to form the new constitution. It made the constitution making process an easy task by setting some particular objectives before them that would be acceptable to the people of Pakistan. The resolution was presented by the then Prime Minister of Pakistan, Liaquat Ali Khan, and it was approved on March 12, 1949 by the Constituent Assembly. Dear students, now we will discuss some of the important salient features of the Objectives Resolution. The most important of which is, that is number one, sovereignty of Allah. Here, the sovereignty means the supreme authority, supreme power. Therefore, the sovereignty of Allah in this resolution, that the resolution affirms that the sovereign means the ruling authority belongs to Almighty Allah only. Now, having defined the sovereignty of Allah, the next point is democracy. It means the power to rule the state has been delegated by Allah to the people of Pakistan. It is a sacred trust, and the people of Pakistan shall exercise their authority strictly in accordance with the divine injunctions. The power of the state shall be exercised through the chosen representatives of the people. So this is basically the concept of democracy in Islam, that first you will have to set the sovereignty of Allah, that the ruling authority, the sovereign authority is Allah. Now, definitely it delegated powers by Allah to the people of Pakistan. Now, these people definitely chose their representatives who, according to the teachings of Quran and Sunnah, will rule the country, will govern the country. Definitely, this is the basic concept which was mentioned in the Objectives Resolution. The next important salient feature of the Objectives Resolution is that of the Islamic conduct of the state. It affirms the Islamic conduct of the state, that the Islamic principles of democracy, freedom, tolerance, and social justice shall be observed in the country. The next important salient feature is that of the promotion of Islamic way of life. Now, the Muslims will be facilitated in order to enable them to model their lives in accordance with the teachings of the Quran and Sunnah. Another important salient feature of the objectives resolution is that of the safeguard of the minority rights. The non-Muslims will be guaranteed all the fundamental human rights, particularly the rights of their religious and cultural development. The state of Pakistan actually has given the guarantee of protection of the minority rights. All the minorities, all the non-Muslims, they are free to go to their worship places, churches, temples, and so on. Therefore, it is one of the important things an Islamic state is providing to its minorities regarding their rights, especially the religious and cultural development is concerned. Another important salient feature is that of the independence of judiciary. According to this, the judiciary, in accordance with the Islamic principles, shall be made totally independent of the executive and the legislative organs of the government. The purpose of this was that to provide justice to the people. We can quote an example over here, the court system in our country, Pakistan. That is the highest court, is the Supreme Court of Pakistan. It is independent authority, and according to the system of justice in Pakistan, no one, the Prime Minister, the President, no authority can dictate these courts. This was mentioned in the objectives resolution and also in the coming constitutions of Pakistan and the present constitution of 1973 as well. So independence of judiciary is a very important feature of the objectives resolution. Another important salient feature of the objectives resolution is that of the safeguard of the fundamental human rights. When we are talking about the fundamental human rights, it includes the education, the association, the movement, the religion, speech, press, information, the thoughts, all included in the human rights. Now, what the resolution stated was that all the fundamental rights of the citizens, like the freedom, equality, ownership of property, freedom of expression, faith, worship, and formation of associations, shall be safeguarded, and no citizen shall be denied any of these rights. So it was another very important thing, and in the modern world, in the modern democratic states, the human rights the human rights is being considered as one of the most important things. Therefore, in our constitution, the most important articles are related to that of the human rights. Dear students, now we will discuss about that of the significance and impacts of the objectives resolution. Remember that, as I mentioned earlier, that objectives resolution is very important in the history of Pakistan, and the then Prime Minister Liaquat Ali Khan said regarding this that after the formation of or the creation of Pakistan, the most important event or the most important thing in our history is that of the objectives resolution. Now, coming to its significance, the first and the foremost problem for the Constituent Assembly of Pakistan at that time were that of deciding the character of the state of Pakistan. As I have mentioned earlier, that some people wanted a secular Pakistan. On the other hand, the other majority of the people, they were in favor of an Islamic state. And you know that the whole Pakistan movement and you can say that the whole Pakistan movement and that of the efforts made by the Muslim leaders, the common people, was for the creation of an Islamic state on the basis of the two-nation theory and many other things. With the passage of time in our history, all related to that of the creation of an Islamic state in this part of the world. Therefore, this main point or this main the foremost problem was solved by the objectives resolution. It decided very nicely that the character of the state will be that of Islamic. Therefore, the first point we can say that the importance in this regard is that the objectives resolution clearly stated that Pakistan shall be an Islamic republic. Therefore, the secular concept was denied over here. Then, under the objectives resolution, the state of Pakistan for the first time officially proclaimed Islamic social order to be its ultimate objective, and it clearly stated that Islamic injunctions shall serve as guiding principles for constitution making. The next importance is that of the objectives resolution exhibited national consensus, and it was endorsed by the ulama from all schools of thought. The resolution was made a part of the preamble in all the successive constitutions of Pakistan. That is another very important point. Now, the objectives resolution was made a part of the text of the Constitution of 1973, which is our present Constitution, under the 8th Amendment in order to give it a legal status. Now the question arises that why it was done at that time, why 8th Amendment required. The reason is that the preambles are not generally justifiable parts of the constitutional documents. Being recommendatory in nature, these are not legally binding and cannot be invoked before the courts of law. Therefore, in order to give it a legal status, and now anyone can give the reference of these objectives resolution while going to courts. Therefore, it is another important thing. Now, it is the objectives resolution is actually the part of our constitution, that is 1973 Constitution of Pakistan. Now, just have a quick recap of the topic we have discussed. There is, first of all, we have discussed about the constitutional state of Pakistan at the time of independence. Then we discussed about the salient features and the importance of the Objectives Resolution 1949, especially in the process of the constitutional development of Pakistan. Basically, you can say that the Objectives Resolution was the main and the first document towards the making of the Constitution of Pakistan. In the coming topics, we will definitely discuss that how the Constitution was made according to the guidelines given in the Objectives Resolution, especially the first Constitution of Pakistan that was proclaimed in 1956. Dear students, now it's time for the task and the assignment, and it is related to the topic we have discussed. You have to read and highlight pages 69 and 72 pages we have covered. Then you will have to learn by heart the definitions and the concepts we have discussed. Then there are two questions regarding this topic of Objectives Resolution from the exercise. It's page number 90. First is that of extra question. Answer the following extra question from the text, and that is, write any three salient features of the Objectives Resolution. You will have to write any three of the salient features of the Objective Resolution. Such type of questions are frequently coming in the board exams. And then on page number 90, long questions. This is the exercise question, question number 1 on page number 90, and that is, write a note on Objectives Resolution. It is a very simple one, and its answer you can find on page number 69 under the heading the Objectives Resolution. And you will have to write a background and its introduction, as I have mentioned in this presentation and in this lecture. You can take from here. Then the salient features, these are all given in your book with the headings, with the details. You will have to write it. And then the last heading is that of the significance and impacts. You will have to write the whole. Then it will complete the answer of this long question. That's it for today's lecture. See you in the next lecture. Take care. Allah Hafiz.